Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4. Which, you know, for once I'm actually kind of excited about an expansion for Hearts of Iron 4, which is also where we need to hurry up and wrap this up before all of the saves become corrupted. But the new the new expansion, help me, swallowing my own fucking tongue. Hiccup. The new expansion is actually promising to reintroduce commanders. You can have generals and command structures again. Imagine that! A feature from Hearts of Iron 3. Finally back again. Wow. You know, I remember when Hearts of Iron 4 came out, and basically my opinion of it was like, okay, yeah, they've stripped out quite a lot of stuff, but I see how many of these cool new mechanics could totally make for an even bigger, more complex, and awesome Hearts of Iron game in the future. And now, like, fuck, how many years later? We're only now beginning to have recreated the majority of Hearts of Iron 3. Anyways, which one of these options allow me to declare war on the NCR? I'm pretty sure. I feel like it was a focus option. Texas, West Americans, Metal Foreman. Absorbing the NCR, yes, that is what I will be going for eventually, correct? Raid. I know there was a thing here. Type Seda, it's awesome to see you're playing Hearts of Iron 4, Arch. If you're looking for interesting mods to play in your free time, recommend the Great War Redux and its companion, the Great War Redux Expanded. Expanded? Huh? See, where's the, open the vaults. Poison the bear. I think it's this one. Okay, so we need to open the vaults, then we can go on with War with the NCR, right? So, I remember playing the World War I mod. Unfortunately, by the way, Caesar, the squeakers are pretty much wiped out. There really isn't a whole lot left of the Squeakers Legion. They're all pretty much dead, with the exception of the Eastern Legion. So the NCR is even bigger than usual, which is brilliant. According to the latest intelligence reports, I'm outnumbered about 3-1, which is non-ideal, but at the same time, you know, it is what it is. But okay, so I tried playing the World War I mod of Hearts of Iron 4, and I really didn't like it. Mind you, this was years ago now, so I'm really tempted to have a go at it again, because there was a World War I mod for... I want to say Hearts of Iron 2, I think. That was really, really, really great. Like, absolutely amazing. Like, it captured the feel of World War I so incredibly well. Because every offensive was like, you took one area, if you were lucky, and then you were running into a massive roadblock again because you ran out of organization. Every attack cost ass loads of manpower. Offensives were always limited. It was a really, really fun mod. And it had all kinds of special equipment as well, like gas masks being a research thing. Like you could attach telegraph units to your armies. You could attach heavy machine guns to your armies, etc., etc. Loads and loads of like specific research stuff. Really, 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 really good stuff. And I felt like the 4 one didn't really have a lot of that. But again, it's been a very long time, so maybe I need to check that out again. Because I do like the World War I setting quite a bit. I do like them quite a bit. Also, I saw one person asking there, oh, right, operational security. Yep. A little bit longer. We're preparing for war now, so we can't get found out right now. Alright, yes. Somebody was asking where the Space King thing was. It's on Kick now. There should be a link in the description leading you to the Kick channel where we've almost got 1,000 followers on Kick, which is quite cool, honestly. But there it is in its total, as YouTube took objection to the stream for reasons. I'm not entirely sure why. I don't think YouTube is entirely sure why necessarily, but they did, and that is just the problem with being on YouTube, I guess. As it wasn't a copyright strike or anything either, it was a community guidelines violations, which the problem with the community guidelines is that they change constantly. To the point that very few people have any real idea of what they are. And even if you are compliant with the community guidelines today, there is no guarantee whatsoever that you will be compliant with the YouTube community guidelines tomorrow. It's a wonderful system. Truly. You know, there's a reason why, in actual legislation, we made it so that you couldn't create laws with, oh, what's the term? You know, that can affect things that had already happened. I forget the term for that, but there's a proper legal term for it and everything. But YouTube, of course, not being a legal program or anything, can just kind of do that. So, you know. To save our future. Good evening, America. This is President Anderson. It has brought to my attention that my recent order to restart the FFP experiment has been met with some negative feedback. I understand the idea of creating more mutants is antithetical to our nation's goals, but you must understand that in dire times, dire decisions must be made. That is why I order the resumption of FFP experiments to ensure that we maintain an edge over the vile mutants that threaten our very existence. Not only will we work to create a new generation of super soldiers to fight our wars, but we will use FFP to poison our enemies as well. Wow. That sounds remarkably unethical, but hey, I'm aboard. Why not? Poison the bear. Western Clerk declares war on New California Republic. There we go. There's the war option. FEV Plague. Fuck, that is a massive debuff. Holy shit, another research slot? You must be fucking kidding me. Yeah, sure, have stuff. Okay, I'm slowly but surely realizing that maybe I should have picked the increased difficulty options. Because, Jesus Christ. It is giving me a lot of stuff. You know, if anything, I would love to do a campaign. All of that Hearts of Iron 2 mod. Seabird? Motherfucker, I can have carriers? I didn't even know, but I'm all for it, I suppose. I didn't know I could have carriers, but I'm certainly not opposed to the idea. But I kind of want to do a series on that World War I mod, because I remember it being a lot of fun. Granted, it was a very long time ago, so maybe my memory is simply just flawed, but still, I remember it being a lot of fun. Do I have radar down here? Yes, I have, in fact, a level 10 radar. Right, never mind, I don't need to worry too much about that then. I feel like creating a little bit of a preemptive fallback position, just in case. And it's not like I'm lacking in industrial capacity anymore. Okay, Miss Sentinel. Hello, Arch. Have you checked out the Bone Cohort submod yet? If so, what do you think? I have not, no. Typesetter. Speaking of mods, can you recommend some HOI 4 mods for me and my friends to play? Well, Kaiserreich is really fun. Kaiserreich is a close to vanilla experience where you play a game in a world where Germany won the First World War. And then you have to deal with the fallback of that. Like, for example, the Great Economic Recession primarily striking Germany as the world hegemon at the time, rather than America. That one's quite good. I would always, of course, recommend Black Ice. So, Black Ice is probably my favorite mod ever. I'm going to waste some research potential here, but I really want to just get loads and loads of air research. It's my favorite mod ever. It's basically Hearts of Iron on steroids, right? God, I don't have enough fucking research to fill this many slots. Jesus, I definitely should have picked the increased difficulty options. Live and learn. But yes, it's Hearts of Iron on steroids, and hard mode as well, where it increases the logistical options enormously, it increases the gameplay enormously, it makes the game a lot more challenging in an organic way, and it just adds on everything. It adds so much research, it's not even funny. Like, there's a pop-up at the beginning of the Japan campaign, for example, that simply says, listen, the Japanese produced a fuck ton of prototypes, okay? A whole ridiculous amount of prototypes. And they're all in the game. You can select all of them. But if you ever want to research anything at all, other than dozens of different aircrafts, you're probably just gonna have to pick a couple and focus in on them instead of all of them. And that allows you to focus heavily on the Northern Strike, for example, or double down on the Southern Strike, or even go for a hybrid solution, or even go for like an America Bomber-style program. Black Ice is so cool. It is just the best mod. Right. It looks like it's time for war. Right. Am I ready? I'm pretty sure I'm ready. So, the general plan, the first voting group will be making an attack straight down here to Sac City through Gator Ranch, along with elements of the second voting group, which will be our armored elements. Another pincer will head up here, cut off a northern portion so that we get a nice surround in the middle, as reducing the amount of enemy divisions is going to be absolutely crucial. We have further elements of the first voting group, which will try to make another pincer move up here to cut off more NCR troops. The first undocumented auxiliary, along with the second undocumented auxiliaries, will primarily just be holding the line and providing holding forces where the motorized elements won't be enough. We then have the first and second Inhuman armies, which will primarily just be holding the front line open and, well, making sure that the other fronts that I'm not attacking on don't randomly collapse. I have 12 divisions of the second Inhuman army in reserve, and then I have, I believe these are the NCR Rangers, which can just provide a little bit of pinch hitting if necessary. I am slowly but surely producing more in the way of power armored troops to reinforce the first voting group, but manpower remains an issue. Even with the cloning vats working fucking overtime, I don't have enough manpower. I simply do not have enough manpower, so I'm hoping to squeeze by with what I have, although I suspect I might need to raise a third Inhuman army to keep up with everything. And Okchigador, community guidelines, arbitrators arbitrate arbitrarily. Correct. I had a friend of mine. Okay, so Ritualist. Some of you may know him. He draws art. He had a playlist of, quote, Dommy Mommy Muscle Girls. Because he's just like that. What can I say? And he had this playlist on YouTube for like 10 years. However, just the other day, he got a community guidelines strike for that playlist. Because after 10 years of it being there, YouTube eventually looked at it and decided, degenerate gooner shit, and gave him a warning for it. Because that's just how YouTube operates. That's literally just how YouTube fucking operates.
Why isn't your video feed working?
Man, see, this is why I like Kick. Because this, like, okay, we're almost at 1,000 people on Kick, and look at that. The Kick chat is slowly becoming active again. I need to start reading Kick chat unilaterally to encourage it more. Like, look at that. Pressure Mazizgajik. He has a dumb name. I can't help it. And Dragon Metal. They're over there too. I want to get to 1,000 followers on Kick. And then to 1 million followers on Kick. It'll take a bit longer, but, you know, eventually. As actually, yesterday, for like a grand total of 5 minutes, I think, my stream was bigger than XQC's stream on Kick. Again, it was for about a grand total of 5 minutes after I brought a bunch of people over from YouTube after the YouTube stream crashed, so I can't really say that I'm out competing the biggest streamer in the world at the moment just yet, but hey, you know, for a second there, I was a popular streamer, and I quite like that. I'd like to do that more. Now, we shan't be counting the fact that he's probably got another 55,000 people watching on other platforms, because that somewhat ruined my narrative. So, ignore that. Also, can I not build canoes? Basic naval tech. Fuck, do I not have basic naval tech? Shit, I don't. I don't know what a boat is at all. Fuck. Shit. I literally have no operational idea about what a boat is. I can build power armor. I can weaponize plasma rifles. All of these things are things that I can do. But making something that floats... that's a bit too much, apparently, for all of my countless scientists. Okay. That's rather remarkable. Honestly, that's... we can figure out jet engines. That's not a big problem. Not a big problem at all. But buoyancy? Jesus. Calm down a little bit. Right, which one of these 5 billion things should I do next? Probably the military tree. Project Atlas. Implant access technology. They're mobile. Greatest... oh, hey! There we go! I can learn what a boat is! I like that idea. I want to know what a boat is. Please, tell me more about this thing you call... floating. Is this a technology we could replicate? Conceivably, with a lot of work. Ian Bruin, porn sends you to hell. And if you were a Christian, not a grifting tyrannical dumbass using Christianity as a sheep disguise, you would know this is not a role or concern of the state. Yeah, we're on about that whole discourse again. It is what it is at this point, is it not? It seems like we're almost stuck in this permanently... Oh, no. In this permanently cyclical discourse where... I don't know, we've... See, one of the key problems, as I see it, is that we have, in essence, normalized authoritarian means, right? Where we have come to a point where we've sort of started to see using the state as a tool, as something that is somehow just kind of sort of normal now, right? It is not something that we view as disvirtuous, or dishonest, or dishonorable. It's something that we've kind of accepted to just be a thing now that we accept. It used to be a flaw to lean on the state for such things, and that used to be one of the primary virtues, indeed, of centrists and the left, indeed, and the right too. That you are not supposed to use the force of the government to enforce your own ideologies, standards, and etc. But it seems like every single solitary time any grouping is about to get into a position of power, the very fact that they're about to achieve power cancels that out. Like, all of a sudden, everyone is like, well, yeah, it's not a good thing, but I could use the power of the state for good. It literally feels like the state is the one fucking ring, right? Where everyone who's like, yeah, but hold on, think of the power of the One Ring. I mean, yeah, it's corrupted everybody else who's ever used it, but that doesn't mean it'll corrupt me. I could be the one person who resists it. I mean, theoretically possible, but somehow I doubt it. Right. Let's see. How's things going? Very, very well. Okay, it doesn't look like I'm going to need to worry about any of the frontline buckling just yet. What will become of California? Well, that's a pretty easy question to answer. California will be transformed into what California was always supposed to be. A burning hole in the ground. Everyone knows that. Everyone has always known that California's fate was to be on fucking fire. And the fact that it has taken us this long to finally recognize and embrace that fact is a shame. The world had to end before we understood that the problem was California all along. With the enormous debuffs due to the FEV virus. Oh, hello.
I have lost.
I'm sure. To help you in your war's allies, right? I mean, I don't object. I'm just you're not allied with them, are you? Naval access. Right, that should be fine, I think. No, seriously, the governmental power is the One Ring. That's just what it is. It's this incredibly dangerous thing that we all know we shouldn't use, but nobody ever manages to resist using it when they have an opportunity to.
Heresy's the question.
Right, we're going
Fire
to check
is
in
the
on the
answer.
air war. Okay, 300, 250, that's fine. All right, the air war's looking like it should be going pretty well in my direction. Oh, a bit surprised that I actually lost an aircraft there, but send in additional ground crews to keep that going then. We do have a strategic bombing campaign going. Don't know how much that is really realistically going to achieve with the economy the way it is, but, you know, Or we can hope for a golem that will make the ring so OP, so disgusting that everyone will feel it. I fucking wish so.
Fucking president's watching us like
Anime Attackman, what's that? You don't like seeing them go at each other like petty women? Well, see, on the one hand, kind of yes, right? Because it's kind of a good thing that elements of the right wing is demonstrating themselves to be what we feared them to be, right? It's a good thing that the right is basically throwing off its mask. What the fuck was that? Very early, because then you could certainly argue that, okay, but now we know. Yes, that is true. But the problem is, we still haven't actually defeated the left wing. Like, the left wing isn't beaten. They're severely bruised and bloodied, absolutely. They've taken a pounding, sure. They've lost an enormous amount of cultural capital, no doubt about it. But they're not gone. They still have a tremendous amount of institutional power, far more than the right has at the moment. And that is even with, like, having things like the president. See, this is one of those things that's rather interesting on top of all of this. Because the Devian argument would be that, oh, but listen, the right now has, like, the president of the US. Surely that means they have by far the most institutional power, right? I don't agree. Because the president is currently being counteracted on every single solitary level by virtually every single solitary Hi there! I didn't know you were over there. Right, well, this, chat, is why we keep reserves. So that if we, fail to see an obvious threat like this, then we still have the opportunity to respond to it. Yes. That's why we maintain reserves. Alright, get those moving. Alright, the southern... This is actually holding incredibly well. Then again, it's max fortified, so we can bring up elements of the 2nd Inhuman Army as well, just to shore up the northern front line. What was I on about before I panicked? That's a good question. What was I on about before I panicked? Alright. Pincer number 1 is complete, pincer number 2 is about complete, and pincer number 3 is also wrapping up nicely. Excellent. Right.
You ignorant slut.
Let's start closing these. ASAP. As I am assuming the massive debuffs to the NCR are going to be highly temporary things. So we want to make it take full effect whilst we can. Right, attacking just with the auxiliaries is far from ideal. See city remnants. They turn their back on the Enclave. Execute them all. Kill them. Oh, you've come to save us. That's one interpretation. There's no saving traitors. It simply isn't possible. You can't do it. Right, well, if I have an opportunity to just cross the ocean there and get a foothold on the other side, I think I'll take it. Thank you very much. What was I on about before I got distracted? I don't even know. I've forgotten. Orchigido, are you a North Korean? Can build nuke but not a floating ship? Yes. And it was rather funny how the pride of the North Korean Navy sunk. That was pretty funny. Now, to be fair, building modern warships is pretty goddamn difficult, so I get that they had a little bit of, problems with it. I understand. It doesn't mean I'm not going to mock it, but I understand, I get it. And even then, are we sure what the North Korean built was really a nuke? I mean, it sort of was, but the word nuke is somewhat abused in the current day lingo, right? Where we kind of view all nuclear weapons as the same. That's not the case. There are nuclear weapons, and then there are nuclear fucking weapons. The difference is, one is basically a Hiroshima bomb. Don't get me wrong, it's a sizable detonation, no doubt about it. It's a big bomb, it's a very big bomb. But then there are hydrogen bombs. And hydrogen bombs are a whole different quantity of kaboom. That's what the West has. I imagine what the Koreans have is just a old bomb. Or hell, I wouldn't put it past the Koreans to basically just have made a dirty bomb, which is just a regular bomb, by and large, but with some radioactive material worked in for additional terror and territorial denial purposes, and called it a nuke. I would not doubt that is something the North Koreans would do, because the North Koreans are silly willies. I also would not doubt that that would be something that the US would still claim would be a nuke either. See, a funny little thing. You know when the US does its little war games, right? And it goes like, oh my god, in the latest round of war games, the US Army was destroyed by the Chinese. And you look at that and go, what? How did that happen? Well, actually, that is exactly what is supposed to happen. In the US military, war games aren't really war games. They're not there necessarily so that the US Army will be able to get a decent idea of what it can and cannot do in various scenarios. It's there as a budgeting tool. That's why it's there. It is to be like, oh my god, look at this! Look at how incredibly scary this Chinese paper airplane is! My god! We're going to need to quadruple the military spending budget again. That's majoritively what the US war games are there for. And hey, don't get me wrong, that approach has served the US very, very well so far. It has resulted in the US basically gaining such an enormous technological lead on every single fucking other nation on Earth, to the point where the old British idea of the two powers rule is completely insignificant. America couldn't defeat the two other largest military powers on Earth. They could conceivably take on every single last one of them and still come out the victor. But hey, details, details. Wow, that went a lot easier than I was expecting. That went a lot easier than I was expecting. Yet again, I'm repeating my statement that maybe I should have gone hard mode. I miss the old casualty log. It was so much better. $30K in the opening few days of the war. In trade for 18. Yep. I definitely should have chosen the higher difficulty options. Live and fucking learn, I guess. Alex Anderson, any plans to check out Manor Lords again? The new update reworked a lot of things, and the enemy actually builds cities now. Ooh. Okay. That is appealing. That is quite appealing, honestly. Because I liked Mana Lord. I thought there was a lot of really cool... Oh, yeah, I've paced my supply lines a little bit there. There was a lot of really, really cool things in Mana Lord. But it only had, like, about, you know, 3, 4, 5 hours of gameplay in it, strictly speaking, before you had pretty much seen everything the game had to show you, right? Okay, speaking of, let's begin
Fucking president's watching us like a hawk.
a reorganization maneuver here. So the fact that they're now beginning to add in more stuff is very nice. That might definitely warrant a second look. I am a little bit worried about how the AI is going to build cities, though. I can't lie. It's going to be very difficult, a complex task to create an AI that can really engage with Mana Lord's relatively complex building system effectively. It's probably going to require the developer to basically produce physical templates for the AI to use and basically build the AI's city for it and then allow the AI access to these pre-built templates in all due likelihood. Still, could be very cool. Could be very cool. And considering it's being made by one dude, it seems somewhat churlish to complain about lack of forward momentum, you know? That was way fucking easier than it should have been. Right, that is a lot of stuff. Next step now, well, for reasons, the NCR are pouring a lot of manpower up north, which seems like a particularly poor decision. But one that I'm certainly more than happy to take advantage of. Will you fuckers join the NCR if I approach your borders again? You probably will. Like, let's bear that lesson in mind from last time. Alright, we're gonna want to wait a second until... until our supply lines there are firmed up a little bit. But I definitely want to take care of this massive salient to my north, first and foremost. How's the air war going? Well, the air war is going well. Oh, okay. Right. Fair enough. How about the bombing campaign? Right, I'm maintaining my numbers. I'm not really gaining, but I'm maintaining. Good. Right, I do have some spare manpower, which would probably be best used for additional close air support.
Heresy's the question.
Damn it, they took that.
Fire
That's
is the answer.
a bit annoying, but we have, yeah, we got ass loads of space here. Is that a white girl in an SS uniform? Not that I object. That's a fine line of fetish wear, of course. I'm just a little bit surprised to see it in this game, that's all. Huh. Right, well, that's already been covered, actually, so I don't need to worry about that. In fact, yes, that does appear to all be covered. Okay, never mind then. Gonna need more close air support eventually. I feel like... Right. God, those are expensive, but... Begin training up more combat blimps. Max Kessler, but I'm just different. Neither the right ring nor state power could possibly corrupt me. I know. It's remarkable. And it's even more remarkable how many people are different. See, it all at the end of the day boils back down to the idea of having been victimized, basically. Like, the left wing's justification for all of the massive overreach that it committed against the right was quite simply to say, oh, but I've been abused. I am the victim here. You had, like, tons of anti-gay legislation, etc. Rebuild the Navy? If there was ever a branch that saw a fall from grace, it was the United States Navy. At the outset of the Great War, the entire Pacific Fleet was deployed to protect the oil rig. This included no less than 3 carrier battle groups, its component cruisers, and destroyer squadrons, and a division of battleships. By 2177, the mighty Pacific Fleet that destroyed the Chinese surface vessel was reduced to 1 patched-up battleship, 3 destroyers, a listed cruiser, the USS Yorktown, and the USS Enterprise. Of course, because the Yorktown cannot be sunk, or the Enterprise. The former of which was being cannibalized for parts for the latter. By the time the rig went down, we had built the USS Enterprise, and we believed she was lost somewhere off the South American coast. However, our rivers need patrolling, and even then there is a threat of mutant pirates off our coast. While the Navy won't re-achieve its former glory, we can start out small. River patrols to defeat those canoes that some mutants call the Navy, or provide heavy fire support operations along the river. While not a priority, we can invest some time and effort into building a mighty flotilla to ensure we aren't invaded by a bunch of mutants who sailed out on a raft. I agree. We need a navy. A big one. Because the true measure of a nation is how somehow I managed to move all of my fucking units off my border again. I should never be trusted with any nation's army. I am clearly quite unfit for that. You know what? We're just going to claim that this was somehow a clever strategic move to entice the enemy to drive behind my lines so that I might cut them off. Yes. Yes. This shall be my argument, and I shall cling to it with all the desperation of a drowning man. Right. There, spread out.
Trick or treat.
This has also somehow severed my supply lines, which is less than entirely ideal. But don't worry, I have a plan. The plan is to drive 3 divisions of tanks straight down there, and to drive another 3 divisions of tanks straight down there, overrunning anything in the way with massive airborne firepower. It's worked for the United States every step on the way previously. I see no particular hiccup reason why it should not work excellently today. Also, infrastructure, please. Loads and loads of fucking infrastructure, please. Okay, cancel the infrastructure in my own territory. We're gonna need to build that in the enemy territory now. Right. Starting to be quite happy that the Enclave is so brokenly overpowered, because if it was not, I might just fucking die, which would be sad and unfortunate. Alright, now then, auxiliaries. Whilst the enemy is reeling from my novel application of blitzkrieg strategy, go kill all of their dudes, please. Thank you kindly. Oh god, it's scrambled again. Where was I? Fuck. Night Shroud, speaking of burning, the Palisades fire was awesome. Palisade fire?
Service guarantees citizenship.
Sack City? Sacking... Fucking mutants. Sack City. Palisade fire? I've forgotten what this is now. Wait, also, so Barkumus sent me a message earlier today saying that Peter Hegseth, which is the Secretary of War, the new Secretary of War, apparently his plane had gone down over the Atlantic. Has anyone heard anything more about that? Because that seems fucking sus. Really? The Secretary of the War's airplane went down over the Atlantic, did it? Huh. I mean, don't get me wrong, shit does happen on occasion, but... Really? That's one of those things that kind of makes your eyebrows raise a little bit and wiggle occasionally. Wiggle a little bit side to side, like, That was sudden. Did somebody forget to check the engines? More Navy! Enclave Marine Corps. Okay. For a moment there, I thought it said enslave the Marine Corps, and I was about to say that might be a little bit strident. I mean, sure, they're crayon chewers and everything, but enslaving them seems a bit much. Especially for such a relatively victimless crime. Okay, I just need to check down here occasionally that my front line hasn't fucking burst open somewhere else when I wasn't paying attention. And it doesn't seem to have, which is nice. Adam Acumen, presidential office, sure, but does the right control the entertainment in the schools at this very moment? No, it does not. And entertainment is the biggest part as well, too. If you don't have control over the media and over the entertainment, you do not have control of the culture. Not truly. Now, there is a currently ongoing shift towards the right in entertainment. We can see that quite clearly, but again, we're not there yet, which is why I would like to urge the right to continue to just be normal. For at least 5 years, okay? We've got to put off the infighting for 5 years. If we can do that, we're probably in a really, really, really good position, but we do need to just chillax a little while longer. Right, I am genuinely halfway tempted to just try to roll, but I think I have got too good of an opportunity to encircle, like, probably a fucking 100 divisions here. Oh, brigades, more correctly, probably. And I don't think I can give that up. So a push to the coast, and then a hook northwards to take out the coastal settlements will slice off an enormous amount of NCR divisions. Too many NCR divisions to not want to do. I'm a little hesitant as to my ability to occupy, or to supply, more correctly, that amount of territory, but I do have supply aircraft. So, worst case scenario, I will still be able to support a fair bit of a forward advance. Very deep into enemy territory. Right, make sure we've got close air support on the ready. Transfer over 200 odd fighters, which, yeah, we've pretty much decimated the entire NCR Air Force here, so that shouldn't be a problem. should not be an issue. More transports would not be a terrible idea. Okay, begin transport operations. Right. Dizwiz, YouTube ate up my whole donation yesterday. So sad. Everard's thoughts on the heads controversy. Heads? Heads? What is the heads controversy, chat? I am not aware of the heads controversy. Whatever the heads controversy may be, ooh, hey. I wonder if... I don't think there's actually a transport metric in the game. So I don't actually think it matters how large the transport aircraft is. It should matter. But I don't think it actually does, tragically. Right, 500 transport aircraft running supplies. That's pretty good. It's nowhere fucking near enough, but... once I begin spreading out a little bit, it should help. I'm still gonna risk it. I'm still gonna risk it for the biscuit. I'm not aware of the heads controversy. Sorry. So, type Zeta, do you know Castle Bravo test the one that went horribly wrong? Not off the top of my head. I might know about it, but I might not remember it. UK's not the safest place to land, but I suppose the US has enough personnel there to make it safe. Where's the Cuffham guy? Cuffham? What? Oh, there we go, a little void. It seems his plane developed a crack in the windscreen, so it had to make an emergency landing in the UK, according to BBC News. Oh, okay, right. So that's the Secretary of War. That makes a lot more sense. Okay, so it wasn't over the Atlantic. That's important. So, problem with the aircraft, they turned around and landed in the UK. Fair enough. Now, granted, again, the United Kingdom is certainly not a place you want to be in for too long these days, but... one cannot deny that the UK is still a healthier place to land in than the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, so fair enough. At least one can be relatively sure that landing in the Atlantic Ocean would be more hazardous than England. I kind of want to go get that supply point right there. I think I shall. Right, so you're cutting down there. Okay. The other formation shall cut through here. And we'll need some reinforcements, but the Armor 2 will start rolling northwards as soon and as rapidly as it can to get the second port. Or the third port, correctly. Oh god, is there one up there too? Oh, it is. Right, it might actually have been better to cut across land here, but... listen, the plan is already in place. And only a weak man would doubt a terrible plan that he came up with once he's already set it into motion. Do not doubt the plan. Follow the plan. It is the only way. I am stretching my supply capacity. I am stretching my logistics to a point that even Bonnie Blue would find downright fucking irresponsible. I don't like that idea. And I don't like that comparison either, necessarily, as I understand that it really does paint a most uncomfortable picture. However, sometimes being uncomfortable is part of the gig. As Bonnie Blue would, again, also herself no doubt agree. You know, there is actually a point. Okay, I should probably... I need to do the rest of the super chats before I wander off another idea. Iron Brune, 2A is one of the few principled sides. Several times recently been told gun control for right-wing reasons, and we told the grabbers to get fuck yeeted? GFY? But yes. Americans like their guns. And Americans understand as well that when somebody comes for their guns, they will never give them back. Which is, again, one of those things that the American 2A people have actually understood fully and properly, and that too many people on the right censorship side has not gotten. They still believe that they can censor just a little bit and then censorship will go away. Like they can put the genie back in the bottle. And they just can't. It returns once again to this idea that, oh, but don't worry about it, we're actually the principled side. We won't be corrupted by this power. Yes, you will. Everybody else has been corrupted by this power. You will be corrupted by this power as well. That's just how this fucking works. As they say, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Just the name of the game. Okay. So far, my supply lines are holding up to my brutal abuse far better than I would have expected. Battle of Yosemite. Yosemite Park? Is that where? I think that's where the silly bear is from. Good evening, America. On this cold night, I'm happy to announce that our forces have taken the Yosemite Valley from the NCR, and it's driven back the mutant army of the bear across the entire front. Our troops now rest for the night as the mutants run for their lives. Perhaps you would like to make a donation. Contact your nearest Army Supply office and see what you can donate to our troops. Food, water, and clothing are all appreciated. Yes, chat. Take this moment during the grand victory of Yosemite Park and understand that you need to donate money to me. Because that's just how that works. Enemy retreat chance minus 92%. That is fucking incredible. Yes. That. As I am fairly certain I'm probably going to be able to put a lot more and a lot bigger ships into the water than the enemy is. So that, 3 times that. Speaking of, I probably should be starting to build, dockyard. Oh god, I don't have any free space. And then... suddenly... Oh, no. Oh, there we go. We can just drag the boats over from there. As suddenly as it had begun, Archer's dream of a grand navy was shattered into 1,000 little screaming pieces. Well, what are dreams for if not to be broken? This is Enclave Radio, bringing you news from the front. Our army is pushing the mutant horde, that is the NCR army, back inch by inch, yard by yard, mile by mile. Despite their numbers, the near-feral NCR troopers are clambering over piles of their own dead to get out our boys. And black. The NCR are climbing over themselves to get blacked by our boys. This took a turn that I had not expected. Oh, boy. Very well. With their main strength in numbers negated with our valiant members in power armor... Members take on a very different meaning here. And automated forces, the NCR army is crumbling by the rightful inheritors to our continent and our Earth. I don't like where this is going. This is starting to become some kind of race war fetish material. I'm a bit upset now. As testament to the Enclave's prowess in combat, the mutant city of Reading has been reduced to ash as demo teams cook the inhabitants where they fester. Oh, fair enough. I mean, honestly, I prefer setting fire to them contra blacking them, honestly. So, good. Yes. That is way better than the alternative. Do more of that, less of the other thing. So, I think I've told this story before, but I was in Barotrauma, so, you know, nobody was watching. But after looking into the Stellar Blade skin that I had to defend, because, listen, people are going to have their weird fetishes, just let them be, let everyone be normal. I then had to look that up. And I don't know if I was shocked, necessarily, but certainly at least a little bit surprised by the fact that there is an enormous genre of racial fetish pornography on the internet. That was one of those things that I'd never really considered somebody jerking off to, you know? I mean, I know the old meme, why pee-pee hard, but that was one of those things, like gore, you know, like Lum Lum's favorite pornography fetish, where I'm just kind of sitting there like, why? Why do you find this erotic? What about this makes you go like, oh, yes? Racism pornography. Maybe. Okay. You know. No. Oh no. Okay. Here's an idea. I have an idea. It's because racial humor has been so suppressed in the world and in the US that this is now the only avenue, and so you have somewhere out there, Martin Payne. You know. Eddie Murphy, all of them, they're just producing this now. That's all they're making. That's their entire thing now. Eddie Murphy doesn't do movies anymore. He doesn't do comedy anymore. And so you might be wondering, what is Eddie Murphy doing? Well, as it turns out... God, I hope Eddie Murphy isn't doing that. I swear to God. If somebody now sends me pictures of Eddie Murphy... Oh, then I hit the microphone trying to wave away a moth. Doing pornography somewhere because he's down on his luck and his acting career isn't going anywhere. I think I might consider just shooting myself at that point. Entirely possible. That might be one of the better ways out. Eddie Murphy was one of my heroes as a kid. God, Eddie Murphy's comedy was some of the best in the world. Defeated the Umbra. Neat. Who were the Umbra? I'm entirely sure, but their stuff's dead now, so I'll take it. And somehow my supply lines are still holding up. I'm genuinely shocked, but I'll take it. Before I wander off on more uncomfortable tangents, Jobless Dane, vad gör du sen svenska kastade handgranater dig? Tag split nu till kasten tillbaka. Well, the problem is, if a Swede throws a hand grenade at me, he's not going to be speaking Swedish. He's going to be speaking Arabic. And the problem with the Arabic hand grenade attack is that he's already thrown a lot of hand grenades in his life, so he probably will actually have removed the splint. Or the pin, unfortunately. That, by the way, was a Swedish joke. No, the Scandinavians have this interesting relationship where we have genres of humor that are simply called things like Danish jokes or Swedish jokes, which are jokes made at the expense of that particular nationality. Like the Swedish have Norwegian jokes, for example. The Norwegian jokes often are based on the idea that Norwegians have like a ridiculous amount of empathy and that we're ridiculously needy as well. Like one Swedish joke was, why are Norwegian buses so wide? And it's because everyone wishes to sit next to the driver. Because everyone in Norway is like, oh my god, I want to be close to somebody else, like the driver. He's like the authority figure and stuff. I need to be next to him. The Swedish jokes are all about how Swedes are patently retarded. And, I mean, have you seen Sweden? Can anybody argue that they aren't? Can anybody in good faith look at a Swedish person and go that he's not dumb? Come on now. Come now. Come now.
Service guarantees citizenship.
Speaking of, I need more naval yards. Alexander's, from my experience so far, the AI builds very large cities very quickly, but lacks defense. It can handle frequent bandit raids without play help. That's good. That's nice. At least you don't need to babysit it. That is a lot of fucking units, by the way. That is so many fucking units. That is quite possibly one of the biggest surrounds I have ever seen. I like it. I like it a lot.
Everything's always tighter out here at Enclave.
Right. Oh, wait. Hold on. Oh. Oh. Well, that's interesting. I was expecting them to attack me, but they're actually declaring war on the Enclave. Well, consider me aboard. That's a nice surprise. Let me help. Lovely. Okay, I'm very happy. In fact, right, this is an opportunity right here. Right, never mind. Caution to the wind. Caution to the wind. All right. Tank those out. Right, General James Song. Take the first and second voting blocks. And I'm going to give you the order to simply drive through there and annihilate them. The Democratic Army of America. Meanwhile, the rest of you, we're gonna drive you straight southwards.
Fucking president's watching us like a hawk. Everything's always tighter out here at Enclave.
As if the enemy's busy with other enemies, I am going to take fucking advantage. Right, we're gonna have to keep some forces back here, obviously. But majoritively... Ah, damn it. Not you. Oh, 5 divisions. Right, not quite the offensive force I'd imagined it to be, but hey, it's something. And reposition those. The first and second voting blocks should have no fucking issues. whatsoever overrunning these enemies. Especially not with the complementary air support of several hundred flying fortresses. Right, maximum effort, maximum speed. Go, kill, kill, bomb, bomb, destroy, destroy. Sujad, I'm arguing with someone through YouTube. Comments about the US nuking Japan was better than a conventional war. How bad do you think a conventional war would be? Finepois, Revenge, and Worm. Right, let me just note that down as well. Right, so the invasion of Japan. I don't remember the exact figures, but I think the US were planning for something along the lines of 500,000 to 1 million casualties. What's the name of that? So I don't remember the name of it, but there was a massive military cemetery in the US. Is it Arlington? It might be Arlington. That was constructed with the idea of anticipating the casualties from the invasion of Japan. And that cemetery is nowhere even close to capacity now. The casualties would have been unfathomable. And, worse still as well, it wouldn't just have been military casualties. You would have had unbelievable civilian casualties. As communism? Oh. Communism detected on American soil! Oh no! Communists. Communists! Well, wait until I finish this war before declaring another one, please.
What the hell is this? The president?
Just be calm for a little while longer until we finish one war at a time. The civilian casualties would have been cataclysmic, as the Japanese were trained ideologically to fight to the death. There were enormous armament programs going on within Japan to basically equip the civilian populace with fucking bamboo spears. And they would likely have gone through with it as well. That's the worst part. Because you gotta understand, Japan at the time was not a Western nation. That is what is so incredibly important to understand here. The Japanese were not a Western populace. They were not a civilized modern populace. They were, for virtually all intents and purposes, a feudal... Oh, hello there. Oh. Okay. Somebody suddenly surrendered, and it worked out pretty well.
Everything's always tighter out here at Enclave.
Right, well, again, I'm hardly complaining. But yes, before I was so rudely interrupted by my enemy's mass surrender, the Japanese were not a modern Western nation. They were basically feudal savages, still, at that point. As they'd only been out of feudalism for, 100 years, maybe? Like, you could argue not even that. And so, when their god emperor, the person they believed to actually be their god, ordered them to die, they would die. They were basically extremist fundamentalist Muslims at that point, okay? That's the best way I can put it. They would have died for their emperor. They would have fought for their emperor. They would have hurled themselves at American fucking tanks if ordered to do so. And this came both, of course, from the fanaticism and also due to an enormous propaganda apparatus on the Japanese side. As again, these were not an educated populace. They had no understanding of, truth and misleading falsehoods and propaganda, etc. When the emperor said something, that was true. Simple as. That was just how it was. And they had been told over and over again that the Americans were morally reprehensible, that they were completely morally bankrupt, that they were wild barbarian savages, they were a fallen race, as the Japanese also believed that once upon a time the Japanese had ruled the entire world. And then the white man rose up and destroyed the glorious, peaceful paradise that was global Nippon. I'm not even kidding. I know this sounds fucking insane, but all of this was shit that was just accepted in Japan at the time. America was a decadent, evil society, and if it won the war, it would, if you were lucky, it would merely kill all of the Japanese, but more likely, they would expose the Japanese to torture, to humiliation, rape, inbreeding, desecration, etc., etc., etc. And you must view this all from the point of view of people who believed in the spirituality and the sanctity of their nation, who believed in the spirituality of the Japanese people. To them, the invasion of America was basically pitched like a chaos invasion in 40K, okay? That was how bad it was. So, if the invasion had been necessary, and the Japanese had not surrendered at any point, they just continued fighting with no announcement from the Emperor, it might very well have just been the end of the Japanese people as a species. So, yeah. The nukes were a kindness. The nukes were genuinely, absolutely a kindness. No doubt about it. Animate Acumen, I shall continue to be the guy that tries to push cavalry on horseback into his army. Well, why not? At least ceremonial, okay? At least ceremonial. Dear Swiss, Stamford Eternals stream tomorrow or cancel? I think Sargon said that he was doing some sort of webinar again this week. And he's in Australia, apparently, the week after. So there might be a couple weeks break for Stamford Bridge now, due to Saga Rooney being a very, very, very bad boy. Generally speaking, if something doesn't go as planned, just assume that Sargon is to blame, and it's usually true. And if it isn't, it's probably Lum Lum's fault. One of the two. One of the two. Right, I now have nuclear fucking fighters. Seems somewhat overpowered. Sir, we just finished researching nuclear-powered jet fighters. Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, and we've made significant advances on making triremes as well. Thanks? I feel like technology is behaving weirdly in this universe. I don't know why I feel that way, but I most assuredly do. Right, general morning song, off you go. Murder, murder. In fact, I'm pretty sure I could just... I'm pretty sure I could just murder all of this. Yes, I think so. With the correct quantity of air support, no amount of murder is too much murder. Look at them go! Yeah, I definitely should have had a much higher difficulty level. Once again, we live and we learn. Project Atlas. America is full of horrors. That's true. From irradiated beasts, haywire robots, and worst of all, mutants. While we must not suffer the sin of mutants, we must be ready to face them head-on, and with leaders who can think on their feet, we have the tools to build the new America. But idiots with a hammer a house does not make. Our leadership shall bring war to those who defile our lands, and they will be the best of the best. Theirs will be the strength to prevail, not only when victory lies within easy reach, but even when it seems unattainable, when doom settles like a shroud all about. In these times of darkness, in them we will live the hopes of a unified America. I feel like in our quest to eradicate the mutants, we are rapidly becoming mutants ourselves. I know it's slightly heretical to point that out, and I understand, but we've done an awful lot of gene splicing recently. We have done a truly disturbing amount of gene splicing recently. And we don't really seem to be slowing down at any point. I'm just saying, are we entirely certain that we are not becoming the very thing that we claim to hate? Because I feel like maybe we are. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Fighter detection, air range. Cleanse the earth. I like it. Yes. Yes. Cleanse the earth. Cleanse the earth now. Masters of the Sea, all their manuals. I, for some reason, have quite a lot of naval experience. Capital ship armor, screen defense, yes. Right, well, we've decided on naval spearhead for our duty. Carry effort, Grand Armada. Battleships, huh? I am all aboard the battleship boat. Red Spirit battle boats. There. Battle boats constructed. Well, actually, the doctrine with which to create battle boats constructed. We haven't actually built any boats yet, but don't worry about that. We shall get to it.
This is Enclave Maincom.
I guess I should just... attack, huh? Yep, before everybody else takes my stuff away from me. It is time to advance. Uh-oh. Nope. Don't do that.
Enclave here. Everything's always tighter out here in Enclave.
Everything is always tight in the Enclave. Is that a bad thing? Oh. The Enclave being a bit tight is exactly why I love them. Tight power armor. Who doesn't love tight power armor? I now have nuclear bombers. Yet again, I feel as if the conflict is taking on a slightly unfair aspect. Also got to invade the communists soon, before the communists manage to set roots. Before the communists manage to lay eggs. Always remember, you need to deal with the communists before they lay eggs. Because once they've hatched, it really usually just is too fucking late. At this point, it's going to be easier just to assign these to armies. Close ups. Don't. Oh. Let's fight it. I guess the icon is the same. Right. Very well. The NCR is having a really, really, really bad day. The vile mutants are in retreat. Yes, they are. Yes, they very much so are. I guess I don't really need any more power armor, seeing as I've already got the best power armor there is. Worry about that. Let's see. Where was I? Yes, there we go. Evan Rogers, should spicy content at least be treated like alcohol? Government and given proper warning as such an additions warning? An addictions warning, I'm presuming you mean. Okay. Now, there's an interesting point, right? So, I am not for any sort of a pornography ban because I simply believe that the cost of trying to ban pornography would be too great. It would include too large of an overreach of state power. That is my primary objection to it. If we could magically ban pornography without any sort of governmental overreach, I still wouldn't be for it because I'd view it as too much of a violation of one's private personal rights, but I can see the argumentation for it. What I like the least is the addictive qualities of things like, say, OnlyFans. That is what I object to the most. Because something like porn. If you are a person that is vulnerable to addiction, then you can be vulnerable to be addicted to many things. That is a genuine problem, and it's one of those psychological markers that some people unfortunately do have. In these cases, we need to strike a balance between protecting these individuals who have a genuine suffering that we should take into consideration and not infringing upon the rights of the majority, right? In the case of something like porn addiction, something like a marker or some duty to declare, I'm not against that at all. Like, if you want to have a sticker at the front that basically goes, listen, you know, pornography shouldn't be used as a replacement for trying to go out and find an actual girlfriend, etc. Absolutely. However, porn in and of itself is a very small addictive potential from what we've seen so far compared to something like a parasocialism of OnlyFans. As we have actually done quite a few studies on this particular topic, as there was a lot of anti-porn advocacy in the past. And they attempted to get data to prove it, because they figured, well, you know, we're probably right, so if we get scientists to study this, we're going to see that we're correct and we're going to have the data to prove it, right? The data, however, was not forthcoming, as in, at the time, like fairly unusual nations like Denmark, for example, who had full allowment of pornography and also legal prostitution, you would expect then to see a significant degradation of social morals, right? Social morality, social standards. It was also believed that you would see an increase in crime, that sexual crimes would skyrocket. The fall of Shady Sands. Well, better that it fall to the Enclave than be blown off screen by a pair of lesbians. However, this did not transpire. In fact, amusingly enough, Denmark is now a brilliant example of one of the arguments I made in my video, that there are significantly easier explanations. Isados. Unidos Mexicanos? I'm at war with them now? Well, don't, because they'll fucking murder you. Oh, they surrendered. Nice. Because Denmark has remained a very, very, very moral society. It's remained a legal society. And it has also, amusingly enough, been one of the Western societies that has resisted diversity the most. As it's still like 90% homogenous, which is quite the fucking achievement by today's standards. So, what does this tell us? It tells us that porn is not responsible for the decline of Western society. It's mass immigration. Which really, really should not come as that big of a surprise. As, again, yes, no. In something like a Protestant society, as in Denmark, you already have strong moral safeguards against, like, the mass abuse of pornography or the mass abuse of prostitution. It is still something that is shameful, and therefore something that is done in quite limited quantities. It is something that people do in essence, when they have no other real option, when they can't find an alternative, then this becomes an outlet rather than something that they should rely upon. Now, this also does not mean, of course, that there aren't going to be outlier examples of people who do end up relying on it. Absolutely. And again, we do need to deal with the outlier elements of that too. That does need to be considered. Meanwhile, I'm going to contest all of these things constantly, you stupid little computer. You're going to be so upset when I just keep clicking this button until eventually you go, "Oh, yes, I give up." The peace conference system in this game is really fucking stupid. Because it really is that. You just kind of keep clicking the same territory until eventually the AI just kind of mules aggressively at you and lets you have it. It's a stupid system. Anyways, on the other hand, however, we do see rising rates of people getting addicted to OnlyFans content. And again, I don't actually have the data on that, so perhaps I'm completely mistaken, because this is one of the things we haven't really managed to research that much. But I do know that we have researched parasocial relationships and how dangerous they can be to individuals. And there can be no relationship more parasocial than one in which a woman predates upon a man by pretending to be interested in return for monetary compensation. There cannot possibly be any more damaging parasocial relationship than that. In fact, this is the kind of shit that we used to write basically like horror novels around, about being taken advantage of by a woman, basically. The entire trope of the femme fatale, etc. You know? So that is one form of pornography, quote unquote, and it isn't even porn, as people don't subscribe to OnlyFans primarily for the pornography. You can find an infinite number of women dildoing themselves with any number of blunt objects on Pornhub. You can find any number of fetishes on there. Plenty to tickle your pickle in any way you so choose. They subscribe to things like OnlyFans due to the parasocial relationship inherent within it. Right. That's a bit of a rant. Okay, well, that's the NCR dealt with. However, I'm apparently at war with Mexico now. I don't even know what I did to piss off the Mexicans, and yet here we are. And even then, I don't want to ban things like OnlyFans, because I don't think it'll work. Like, you'll basically see the same system on YouTube, which also does do things in a similar fashion, where you have people basically creating cults of personalities in order to appeal to people and have them support them. And it's not like that is in and of itself inherently immoral either. So
Guarantees citizenship.
it's a very, very complex topic where I recognize that there may very well be measures that should and could be taken, but what measures, how, when, where? Fuck, I haven't even begun to think of all of that, as it is going to be a pretty massive concern with a pretty enormous amount of considerations that must be, you know, taken into consideration and thought about. So, yeah. The short answer is, I don't know. But I do know that I don't want stuff banned. Idris Ackerman, I mean, some do so to swastika tattoos over the women. It's just as weird. That's true. And yeah, like the entire thing. Well, well, okay, actually, now that you say that, I suppose it's just basically racial supremacy fetishism in that case, isn't it? Like, I painted a swastika on this woman. This means she likes the white people. That's... I mean... I suppose. And I find that sexy. Well, you do you, I guess. There are many, many weird fetishes on this planet of ours.
Are you
Oh well.
ready to wreck this
It's still not the weirdest one I've come
across.
across. The weirdest fetish I've ever come across is smoking. That's a fetish. I learned that when I was but a child, going, why? Why? I still don't know why, but it is a fetish. Right, I do need to deal with the communists. The communists are the most important thing to deal with because they are communists. For the Mexicans will have to be dealt with as well. But as disgusting as Mexicans are, they are not as disgusting as communists. Communists must be the priority for extermination. As much as a threat as Mexico may be, it is a secondary one. Plus, I do have access to very easily defensible positions against the Mexicans, which certainly doesn't harm. How big is the Mexican army? I mean, they're Mexicans. It can't be that bad. Mexico has never had much of an army. And has never had much of a military history. Oh. Apparently, I allowed the NCR to retain control over the Hoover Dam. Oops. Well, that's just gonna have to be how it's gonna have to be then. They're just gonna have to keep the Hoover Dam until I can come up with some reason to take it away from them later. I probably should have just selected the annex all thing. Oh well. It's probably not a big deal. Probably. Right, I hope I can deploy stuff down here before the Mexicans start getting uppity. Looks like I should be able to, yes. Right, first priority, begin building airfields. As I'm going to need them. Oh, fucking boy. Okay, that's a lot of stuff to repair. Yeah, there's one. We have the plant. We have the... Ooh. Mr. President, all missiles are primed and ready, spoke the missile tech. We have nuclear missiles targeting their major settlements across the Dakotas. Time between launch and impact will be 5 minutes. Fire! Ordered Anderson. Alarms blared as long-dormant missiles took to the skies once more, their engines thundering into the sky to deliver to the Dakotas their deadly payload. Anderson's heart burned with patriotic fervor as the mutant terrorists who dared to claim to be Sioux would soon be nothing more than radioactive ash, or better yet, feral ghouls so they could suffer for the rest of their miserable lives. Yes. Until true humans could come along and finish the job, though he liked the idea of them suffering more. Not long after the technicians confirmed detonation all along the Dakotas, as Standing Rock was hit with multiple nukes at once, the fires of the old world ignited their homes once again as the United States added another massacre under their belt. Oh. Shady Sands? Traitors! Traitors one and all! Well, I suppose I should have seen that one coming, shouldn't I? God damn traitorous little fucking pig dogs, all of you. Right. Well, the deployment orders remain largely unchanged. Get to it. Although, now I'm thinking if I could maybe peel off some more troops from somewhere. I do have a number of divisions right here. That is probably not immediately needed for the border. Right. The Brotherhood saw what I did to the NCR and immediately thought to themselves, we'd like to be genocided too. Weird, but okay. If that is truly what you want, I won't stand in your way. Now, speaking of, did I build some more strategic bombers? I don't think I did, nor do I think I can truly afford it, so... Very well. Is that Diablo music in the background? It is! I love Diablo music. Western Enclave. Brother of Steel, I am confused. Why is everybody angry with me all of a sudden? Right, well, not that it matters much. They did claim all of the territory around themselves, but I think if anything, that might actually screw them up more, as they now have a larger area to defend. Whereas I am going to have just as many bombers as ever. Right, have half of them up there, half of them down there. Good old-fashioned absolute aerial dominance is the way to go. Allow not the heretic, the mutant, the unclean, and the otherwise disgusting to be in the air. At any price, at any time. Type Zeta, don't the Swedes have the most universal hatred for the Danes? Yes, to large parts. Type Zeta, wouldn't that also wiped out the Japanese race because of how fanatical the Japanese were? Yes. The invasion of Japan would have gone very, very poorly for the Japanese people. Extraordinarily so. Again, there probably wouldn't have been a Japanese people at the end of it, which is why the bombs were yet again a mercy. I see no particular reason why I couldn't just roll forward yet again.
That's a no one.
Oh, longboats! Yay! I like longboats, and I believe we should keep longboats as a piece of our navy forever. And I see no particularly good argument against it. Alright, for some reason, the Mexicans haven't actually come up to invade me or anything. The Mexican's busy with something. Ah. The Mexicans are being busy being killed by other Mexicans.
Enclave here.
I suppose I should have seen that one coming. The Mexicans declared war on me. Why aren't the Mexicans attacking me? Well, you see, the Mexicans are currently engaged in a war. Against whom? Against Mexico. Fair enough.
It's always tighter out here at Enclave.
Fucking enough.
Why isn't your video feed working?
Right, well, woman, you will be given the not particularly glorious duty of invading Mexico from the other end. Enjoy. Right, whilst they're taking care of business up there, I imagine the Brotherhood is panicking right now as it realizes that perhaps this was not the correct time to get out of their bunkers. Indeed, Brotherhood. This was an inopportune moment for you to emerge from your little burrows. That tends to be a key core failure of the Brotherhood in general, picking the wrong fucking moment to come out to play. As usually, there's super mutants in the way, or invading armies of robots, or aliens, or simply other branches of the Brotherhood coming out to play. Or they send the Brotherhood too far afield, then they start getting weird ideas, like wanting to help the people of the Wasteland, rather than exterminating and dominating them. See, being young is playing Fallout tactics and thinking that this Brotherhood are the good guys because they care about the Wastelanders and they want to help them. Growing up is playing Fallout tactics and understanding how hopelessly blue-eyed and naive the Brotherhood is, and how they really should have clung to the original ideas of burning everything that looks different than them. It truly is a tragedy. They are different than us, which means they must be evil. Time to sound the drums of war. I remember rewatching the Pocahontas movie several times, loving that song so much, and every time I thought to myself, maybe this time they'll just fucking kill John Smith and start fighting each other. I'd like that. It never happened, weirdly enough. They always saved John Smith. Just once I would have liked for them to kill John Smith. Just once. Just once. Just once. Right. Communism solved. That was easier than I expected. Now, how to integrate the NCR? Where was that focus? That's a good question. Where was that focus? Absorbing NCR remnants. There we go. Selective criteria. Douglas Granite, current country leader, the focus candidate requirements were not met. Oh, I can only do that if Douglas Granite is the boss, can I? No. I guess the NCR will just have to be a massive slave state then for the rest of its existence. That's pretty upsetting for the NCR, but... Grappling hooks. Grappling hooks. I just finished researching grappling hooks. My aircrafts are powered by nuclear fucking engines, and I just figured out how grappling hooks work. I really do feel like technology in this universe is a little bit backwards. Little bit. Right, select all the things that fly in the sky, please. All the things that fly in the sky. Bring them all back home so we can reorganize them. That is a pretty solid little Luftwaffe we've constructed right there. $950 fighters, 500 transports, 200 close air support, 180 airships, and 100 heavy bombers. Pretty good, pretty good. Make sure you're turned off so that you don't do something silly. And I suppose you can join the war. Why not? I don't think you can actually get to where the war is being fought, but, you know. That is irrelevant. You are with me in spirit. Hexy, why does the Pornhub, every time when asked to verify if the user 18 because of a new law, instead of verifying, they just block their IPs in the state? So, this is a bit of a complicated question that seems simple, but is probably a lot more complicated. The issue with age verification is that we know it doesn't work. Which seems silly, where you need to do it. You're required by law to ask the question of age verification, but at the same time, you also know that age verification isn't actually a thing that functions, and thus age verification can't be used as any sort of proof to take action. And thus, you can't then take another decision, like banning someone, for example, because of age verification. That's how the companies view it. Especially as the companies, too, in most cases, if we are to be entirely honest here, the companies themselves, they don't really care. They don't really give a shit about if you're watching porn whilst you're underaged. And that, incidentally, is something that could be potentially... Oh, I'm only going to get a small slice of Mexico. Well, that's upsetting. No, I will take these states. Give them to me now. Because they, of course, want to be watched by the maximum number of individuals, so... It's a useless thing that really was just pointlessly introduced. And we would lose nothing if we just completely cancelled it again. But... it's one of those little dumbass things that we introduced mostly just because we had no other ideas and thought to ourselves, well... I guess we've got to do something, right? I'm honestly warming to the idea of just going like, no, if we have no good ideas, it is actually okay to just go like, nope, we actually don't know. Well, think about it some more, but at the moment, we got nothing. It might actually be better to just raise your shoulders and shrug and accept that you know nothing, Khaleesi, instead of trying to introduce some sort of half measure that only becomes a meme thereafter. Hexy, alcohol is bad for you, smoking is bad for you, porn is bad for you. We should strive as society for these to only be accessed by adults. Of course, absolutely. The exact same standards should indeed apply. They should be accessible to adults. The problem is, of course, that alcohol and tobacco are physical mediums. Physical mediums are relatively easy to control, whereas something distributed over the internet is fucking difficult to control. Because in the shop, they can, you can have ID and they can just check it. And that's not a major invasion of privacy to show your ID to the chick at the checkout counter, It is a major invasion of privacy, however, to need to scan your ID into your computer every time you go on the internet. Because now that's stored in a database. A database that, again, in England, already fucking leaked. That's the big problem. The English governmental IDs have already leaked. Why on God's good green fucking earth would we ever trust these people with this sort of information? Especially also considering, as the UK government at first were like, government ID will be used to curb mass immigration. Yeah. Sure. And then the moment it passed, it became, government ID is now going to be used for employment. It's now going to be used to track your online presence, etc., etc., etc. Don't trust the government. The government is evil. Right. I am large. I am very large. My screen is full of icons that I don't even know what mean anymore. And I am researching ballistas. 37mm deck cannon. Can't we just use the 200mm cannons we've got on our tanks? No. Why not? Just can't. Colorado expedition. Eastern Legion gains annex war goal against the Eastern Legion. Eastern Legion? Oh. Does Caesar deserve to be annihilated too? I think it does. I think it does. Wait. Am I being attacked by something?
Got you now.
Raiders? Really? Really?
President's watching us like a hawk.
I feel like you really don't want to be doing that, but... okay. Did I somehow lose 3 divisions of power armor somewhere? I think I did, but I don't know where, why, when, or how. Patrol boats. The rams! Yes. Yes, the future of naval warfare lies in ramming. It doesn't. It never did. It never did. It never will. Ramming is just not a very good way to wage naval war. It just isn't. It's a stupid way to wage naval war, and you by and large shouldn't fucking do it. But there was a period when we thought we should. Naval rams was actually a thing. It wasn't a thing for very long, but there were naval rams, where the idea was that once you had ironclads, and see, it wasn't just, oh god, that's a lot of shit to read. Holy fucking criminy. It's going to take a while to rebuild America, it seems. But yes, the idea was that people were thinking, it's really hard to sink ironclads. In fact, it's ridiculously difficult. There was a period where it was theorized that you might be able to build ships that literally just couldn't be sunk. That's how difficult it was to sink an ironclad. And so people thought to themselves, okay, gunfire just ain't cutting it. It ain't working. What can we do instead of gunfire? One idea was torpedoes. And torpedoes was for a while thought to be basically a doomsday weapon for naval warfare. It was thought to be like the be-all and end-all of naval warfare. It never did. The fear of the torpedo... Well, the effect never matched the fear of the torpedo. Another, and far more brief idea, was, okay, the quickest way to sink an enemy ship is clearly to flood the enemy ship. How do we flood an enemy ship? Well, making a very large hole in the enemy ship seems like a good way to go about it, right? How do we make a big hole in the enemy ship? Our big problem is that our ships are so damn difficult to sink. Perhaps if we take one unsinkable object and ram it violently into the other unsinkable object, one of them will sink. And I mean, I see the theory, I understand the idea of it. Again, it didn't really work, because it turns out that if you weren't able to breach the armor with cannon fire, then simply taking a boat and driving as fast as you can into it also really wasn't all that effective. Shocker, I know. Naval warfare went through a whole lot of interesting little periods, it did. Sophisticated infantry tech. Good God. I think we can quite safely say that there is nothing in the wasteland that is going to stand a fucking chance against the Enclave like this. I'm pretty sure I could just attack move the entire Eastern Legion and nothing would stand against me. Animate acumen, as far as spicy content, warning, sure, do not ban something because there are addicts out there. You are opening the door for statistics to use to similar logic against 2A, X shot Y, you should ban guns. Yes. Again, we should acknowledge that there is a problem, and if there are solutions to that problem that are reasonable, we should absolutely look into means of employing those solutions. However, those solutions must not come at the expense of personal liberties. Unless it's a really extreme situation. Pick up. And Finn Khan. It's just an FYI. Mexicans have a long, proud history of military tradition against Mexico. And France. That's true. Mexico's primary antagonist over the years has been Mexico.
Why isn't your video feed working?
Just for shits and giggles. Transfer everything back to General Songbird again. Oh. The front line isn't even going to exist, basically. Fair enough.
Enclave here.
Can I... Wait, can I move... If I made a port down there, could I move in here? I must know. Oh, God. This list is not fit for purpose anymore. Could I finally join my little compatriots down there? Could I finally make the Texan Enclave what it was always supposed to be? A massive, world-dominating power of brutality and police corruption? I kind of want to do that. There, battleships. I am going to build fucking pre-war destroyers just so I can arm them with 37mm cannons from the First World War. Feels somewhat wasteful, but there we are.
Who the hell is this? President?
Damn it, if I can. I can! I'm not going to be able to support anything. Huh? Battle of Junktown, Battle of Boneyard. Apparently the NCR declared war on me again.
Enclave here. Enclave here.
Are you sure this is a good idea?
That's a no one.
I thought I'd maybe taught them a lesson. I had not. Right, very well. Send the tanks over there in preparations for more important things. And, can I... Where even are you? Is that it? I guess that's it. Okay. Right. Off to Hoover Dam we go!
This is Enclave main comm. Shit, you can say that again.
Are those super mutants? No, they're just ghouls. Okay.
Everything's always
For a moment there, I wondered if the NCR had somehow figured out how to start recruiting super mutants into their army.
Enclave main comm.
Which would have been kind of amusing. Relatively pointless, but fairly amusing. And hey, on the bright side, this means I'll finally get access to that power plant that I wanted. Hoover Dam, yes. There. Oh, no, hello. Los Angeles.
Why isn't your video feed working?
Why have I not wiped Los Angeles off the map yet? Why is Los Angeles still blighting existence? Why did I not nuke it, is the big and important question. Surely, we must all know that Los Angeles does not deserve to exist. Surely we know that its existence was a mistake. How can we then continue to allow this blatant mistake to continue? Have we learned nothing? Meow. Thank you for the 202 World War I era tanks. I appreciate it. There. The NCR is dead. And my production, or research more correctly, of a beautiful navy continues.
President's watching us like a hawk. That's a
Continue transferring troops. Oh, there's the other guys. Yeah, I was wondering how the fuck I'd managed to somehow lose 3 divisions of power armor. There they are. Okay, now. Bombing stuff. You're not producing those airfields like I told you to, are you? Oh? I don't actually even know where the airfields are on the list. Oh, they're getting constantly blown up by rebels, aren't they? They fucking are. Yes, the airfields I've constructed are being continuously blown up by rebels. Well, that complicates matters. Traders from Hawaii. Buy some of their pineapples from them. Who doesn't love pineapples? Right, my assumed aerial supremacy is being somewhat impinged upon by the fact that the entirety of the occupied territories are trying to kill me. My greatest hindrance now is not organized military force, it's barbarian savages. You know what? That's pretty much right on point. That's pretty much exactly canon. Oh, now we're getting somewhere. Microwave lancers. Right, now we're getting somewhere. The NCR bull is dead. Its slaves under a new, far more efficient master. The NCR resistance have been crushed up to the mutant processing center, beginning their great work. Oh, there are some who still oppose the Enclave's dream to save the world. To the south, the people of Mexico united 3 powerful mutants. Oh, God. I feel like the Enclave is really just about trying to conquer everything. Well, I mean, it is the government of America, so of course it's about conquering everything. Plasma discharger. I like the sound of these new things. These new things sound adequately advanced compared to the rest of the random garbage I've been bolting onto my thing so far. Railgun. Apparently, the Japanese figured out how to make a railgun. Apparently, the Japanese received the basic data that the Americans had been using to make a railgun, looked at it and thought to themselves, okay, I mean, the Americans blow it up every time, but we're Japanese. We can probably figure out a better way to do it, and they did. Supposedly, the Waponese now have a functioning railgun. Now, I don't want to sound pessimistic, but may I remind everyone as to what happened the last time we allowed the Japanese to have a navy? Are we entirely sure that we would like for that to happen again? Now, yes, true. They did also bastardize and butcher huge quantities of China, which, I admit, it is an appealing prospect to perhaps allow that to happen yet again. But the Japanese also have a nasty habit of occasionally lashing out against their allies as well, whenever they think that they have the opportunity to do so relatively safely. I'm just saying, trusting the Japanese have rarely worked out well for us. Elaborate performance art. Well, I can't get in the way of an elaborate performance art, now can I? Oh, God. That's why unrest is so massive. Right, yes. Assaultrons, I forgot about those. Cargo bots? Right, I use primarily robots to cow the populace. And I don't have enough robots. Whoops. Then again, I do have 490 factories, so... I suppose I could simply just produce a few more. Jesus. Right, well, I am never again going to have any sort of a manpower concern, because I could literally just drown my enemy in an infinite tide of robots. And I still have the resources for a lot more. Jesus. Look at that. All right, well.
I'm gonna blow you to pieces.
That fixes that problem. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. I can do it like this. I forgot about that feature. I can do it like that. There you go. I think I'm producing just about 100 robots per day now. And that's still not all the robots I could be producing. Fucking Christ. Right. I think we can call the campaign completed there, because there is nothing that can stand against me anymore. I should have picked the harder option. Because that might have made this at least mildly more challenging. But see, one of the problems is, once you get the NCR, there's just like no other power structure that could possibly stand against you. Oh. The Mexicans and the Legion is fighting. Can I send a... Can I? I can't watch. Does that command still work? Damn it. I kind of wanted to see. Because if I allowed either Mexico or the Eastern Legion to win this war, and then build for about 10 years, then I might have an opponent. Maybe. Assuming I also stop building for 10 years. As I've now made up the deficit of 10,000 machines. In 1 year, I could produce 365,000 assaultatrons to attack the enemy with. Good God. And it looks like Mexico is probably going to beat the Eastern Legion. Foolish Legion. Well, if you're gonna lose a war, Legion, then I might as well. Listen. It is very important that you pick upon those who are weaker than you. For if you do not pick upon those who are weaker than you, then one day they may pick upon you. Very, very important. All right. Make sure that everybody has a little bit of air cover. Everybody's got to get some airship wings. Fucking flying fortress airships. I don't even think these really require escorts. I'm pretty sure they could just bomb their way through any aerial defenses short of other nuclear fighters and not really care over much.
Tighter out here at Enclave. Why isn't your video feed working? I see.
And then we crossed the border as a glorious tide of power armor and tanks.
Say that again. The president? Yeah, you can say that again. Yeah.
There's gonna be some holes in the rear lines, but so what? It's all about getting in there, getting established, opening the routes. Lanius's failure. Lanius was always a failure. Lanius will always be a failure. Lanius can never be anything but a failure. See, that's the problem with Lanius. Lanius is a barbarian raised up by Caesar. Because Caesar, or Caesar, believed that he could achieve something better. That he could allow a wasteland savage to become something more than just a wasteland savage. This was a mistake, as has been very thoroughly demonstrated repeatedly. And now, my dear little darlings, advance. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. This is how the commanders of Desert Storm must have felt when they just started calling in rolling airstrikes on the Iraqis for month in and month out, incinerating entire armies again and again and again. If you haven't already, and I'm hoping most of you already have, I would highly recommend Googling something called the Highway of Death. Because the Highway of Death was this remarkable little example of what American strategic aerial warfare can and did achieve during the Iraq War, where basically all organized resistance was just gone. It didn't exist. The Americans defeated the Iraqi army, which I think it had something like the third largest armored army in the world at the time, just purely from the air. Just from the air alone. It's the kind of shit that World War II generals would have creamed their pants just thinking about. And of course, the Americans, upon seeing a massive fleeing convoy of some civilians, some military, etc., what did the Americans do? Did they do the current weak American thing of, oh, let's airdrop in some supplies in case they're hungry? No. The Americans said to themselves, wow, that's a lot of hostiles. Bring in the A-10s. That was the correct decision, incidentally. It was the effective and the correct decision. Well, that was painfully simple. Wait, hold on. Texas. I want to give it all to Texas. I want Texas to become large. Fuck. How do I give things to Texas? That's just not a thing you can do. Damn it. I want to give it to Texas. Take state? Take state. Select the demands you want to make. Current action, give state to Texan Enclave. Right, so it lists it up here, but I think it's doing it. Texan takes, yes, Toxin Enclave takes from the Eastern Legion. Yes. Yes. Long Texas. Render on to Texas that which is Texas. Render on to Texas all that Texas touches. Large Texas? Big Texas! That's what we like to see. Large Texas. Beautiful, beautiful Texas. Beautiful, beautiful Texas. They're gonna be a bit short on the manpower to occupy all of that area, I suspect. And they might collapse internally due to all of that, but hey, that is irrelevant. Big Texas is the only thing that matters. Okay. I do think we can wrap the campaign there, though, because if that campaign was any indicator, yeah, any further wars would just be me drawing the border and then clicking kill. The Enclave mod, then. Pretty good, pretty good. Definitely, I should have taken the harder options. I definitely should have taken the harder options. I like playing with power armor. I kind of want to do maybe the Washington Brotherhood at some point. Because they seem a little bit more isolated and a little bit more localized. As it does seem like whenever you get to a certain size, you do kind of just start steamrolling. Now, the Forbidden Choir was cool because they didn't really have any easy wars. They had only awful, fucking terrible wars. But next, we've got to do Two Mothers, as that campaign has already been funded. So we'll do Two Mothers next. Maybe we'll look at some of the other Hearts of Iron mods too. I do kind of want to do the World War I one. Maybe. Until next time, chat. Thank you all very much for watching. Thank you for your generous donations, as always. And I will see you all again soon. Have a good night.